Jake Paul's California mansion has been raided by the FBI, multiple news organizations report. You can see in this aerial footage agents in uniform outside his home in Calabasas.
You know what's funny about your brother? Your brother talks more shit than anybody else on the planet. They're trying to sue people when people talk shit. There's people out there saying they're fake fights, they're fixed.
You know, for me, in my opinion, I think it's scripted a little bit because, you know, up the weight difference, and, you know, Joshua's a former, you know, champion. And also, you know, he's current, he's active.
That was not a boxing match. Jake Paul had a very healthy fear for his life while he was in there. He was running away. He was trying to get distance. Then he was trying to step in to win this contest. And then he's trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get hurt again.
Once again, Jake Paul finds himself at the center of a storm that could mark the end of the controversial YouTuber-turned-boxer's career. Fresh accusations that Paul allegedly scripted his high-profile fights, including the blockbuster Netflix bout against Anthony Joshua, have exploded online, with some corners of social media even claiming he and his brother reportedly faced arrest over these alleged schemes. While promoters and officials have emphatically denied that professional fights can be prearranged without legal consequences, the skepticism around Paul's legitimacy in the ring has reached a fever pitch. It's a dramatic twist for a figure whose past legal scrapes already include an FBI raid on his Calabasas mansion. Now, as allegations swirl and his boxing credibility is questioned like never before, many are asking, is this really the end of Jake Paul's meteoric rise?
ICE agents have raided the Southern California home of YouTube star Jake Paul. Federal officials say the search was part of an investigation. Wendy Birch is in Calabasas with what we're learning tonight.
Sky 5 was overhead this morning as federal agents entered Jake Paul's Calabasas home located in this gated community off of Mulholland Highway. We counted close to 24 federal agents, some of them in tactical gear, entering the residence. Why they were here and what they were looking for, that remains unclear. The federal search warrant has been sealed and no one is offering.
Multiple boxing analysts, former fighters, and promoters have questioned the credibility of Jake Paul's fights for years, long before the latest arrest rumors ever surfaced. From carefully selected opponents past their prime to unusual fight pacing, late knockdowns, and contracts rumored to include restrictive clauses, critics argue that Paul's rise has felt more manufactured than earned.
I've been curious about this because, like, you know, you saw the Askren fight, we saw these fights that he went into. The Fury one obviously didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go, just because I was so convinced that, like, Jake had these fights fixed, and there's a lot of people who talk about the fights being fixed because it's just the way it is.
Yeah, they tell me that too. They're like, tell me you're not going to take a fall against Paul. Everybody says that to me. I'm like, are you kidding me? You could have paid me all the money in the world.
Veteran voices in the sport have repeatedly pointed out that while Paul brings massive attention and money to boxing, his matchups often avoid real competitive danger, fueling suspicions that outcomes are designed to protect the brand rather than test genuine skill. As these doubts pile up, each new controversy doesn't appear in isolation. Instead, it reinforces a growing narrative that Jake Paul's boxing journey has been built on optics, leverage, and control rather than the unpredictable brutality that defines the sport.
Jake Paul fight was set up.
What happened to me is what was going to happen to him had he dropped those hands. If I say, Rampage, I'm going to pay you $2 million, right? Let this dude beat you, what you going to do? You're going to feel disrespected, number one. Right? That ain't enough money. For me to do that, I got to be willing to walk away for good. Something like 20-something million where I can invest it and fall off in the shade.
In the past, the fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul drew attention for its intensity and drama. Rumors of a leaked script suggesting the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight was pre-planned caused a frenzy online. Alleged audio recordings appeared to back claims that the fight's dramatic moments, including Tyson's supposed fatigue leading to Paul's knockout win, were staged.
In the United States is $1.3 million. Again, that's over the course of the person's entire life. Jake Paul earned 30 times that in one night. People talk about winners and losers, like Jake Paul.
Following his victory over Mike Tyson, Jake Paul expressed his thoughts on his performance in the ring. Speaking confidently about the fight, Paul remarked, "I didn't get punched much or hurt." This statement underscored his belief that he had dominated the match with little resistance. Many of Paul's fans celebrated his remarks, seeing them as proof of his skill and readiness to take on even legendary opponents. However, critics were quick to point out the lack of drama and danger in the fight, arguing that Tyson's performance was lackluster and questioning whether the bout was a fair contest.
Big as the what? Big as the what?
And
Why was
bigger.
Mike wearing assless chaps though? In the
Did that moment go viral with his cheeks out?
I don't know. It made my stomach hurt. Though.
I was seeing it.
Why didn't he
while
have
I was
underwear
ringside.
on?
He had a G-string on, is what he had.
I thought he was completely butt naked.
Nah, he looked like a stripper.
But yeah, biggest live gate, 18.1 millions in U.S. boxing history outside of Las Vegas. A phenomenal night. I'm sorry I didn't knock him out though, guys.
Shut the fuck up. It was crazy when we talked about this. I told him you're
sorry.
gonna say some dumb shit. You did the right thing at the end.
The recent fight against Anthony Joshua is no different. Many commentators have described the pairing as absurd, noting the stark difference in experience, size, and pedigree between Paul and Joshua, with some labeling the event more spectacle than sport. A YouTuber turned boxer with a 12-1 record stepping into the ring with a former two-time world heavyweight champion who has fought elite competition throughout his career. Many commentators have described the pairing as lopsided, with Paul seen by some as a cash grab opponent rather than a valid challenge, further feeding speculation that the event is more spectacle than sport.
Paul, fake Paul I call him, against Anthony Joshua. Massive unit, two-time world champ, still got a big punch. I think he's mentally fragile at world level if he goes against the big guns because of the knockout, especially the bar knockout when he got fucking splattered. You know what I mean? In round 5 and he got hurt early on and then he got done. And he's not been in the ring for 13 months.
Yeah.
But can you see a world in which Jake Paul is competitive in this fight?
No.
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 How do you see the fight going if AJ takes it serious?
It'll be over.
Meanwhile, Jake Paul is entering this fight with a level of confidence that has surprised even seasoned observers. In recent commentary, it was noted that he exudes belief in his ability to rise to the challenge and achieve victory. Unlike some of his previous matchups, Paul is approaching this fight with an intense focus and determination. Analysts observing his preparation emphasize that his mindset is critical and his confidence reflects a combination of physical readiness and mental resolve. This approach suggests that he is not underestimating the magnitude of facing a former heavyweight champion, but is instead embracing it as an opportunity to prove himself on the world stage.
He's very big. I'm here to shock the world, inspire the next generation. We're in the Heat arena. I'm a big Heat fan. Miami's on fire. This is my first pro fight, was in Miami against Gibb. I'm bringing that same energy.
However, Jake Paul's rising confidence in the boxing world has drawn skepticism from many seasoned analysts. Critics argue that Paul's belief in his ability to challenge a fighter like Anthony Joshua is unrealistic. Joshua, a highly decorated and experienced heavyweight, has years of training, numerous championship fights, and proven endurance that Paul has yet to face. Observers note that Paul's physique and performance suggest he may rely on speed or substances.
Natural, no. I can say that with pretty certain confidence in that statement, mainly because, as you heard me mention, I know a lot of the people he trains with and I have heard things. Now let's give Jake the benefit of the doubt, right? He's able to restrain from the peer pressure that everyone's putting on him to hop on these certain compounds. Then that would be cool to train natural, do what he needs to do. But the thing is, his body composition has changed so much, his explosiveness, his power, and yes, that comes with training and time. But I find it very, very suspicious that for some reason, whenever a drug test gets brought up, for instance, when Fury wanted that in the contract, Jake Paul turns them down. So you should think to yourself, it's probably because he's not natural. Now I want to make it clear, I don't care whether Jake Paul is natural or not. There's so many people that aren't natural that are in combat sports. In fact, Tyron Woodley probably is also not natural. Everyone wants that little edge over their competition, and that's where drugs and anabolics come into play. There's certain compounds that are out there that just increase your explosiveness immensely, your recovery, so that you can stay in the same weight class, which is very important for combat sports, whether that's boxing, UFC, whatever type of combat sport you're doing. So that is why you guys have seen so much improvement from Jake Paul. Of course, he has a great circle around him, great trainers, great coaches, a great regimen, but definitely anabolics play a very fundamental role in that. They allow him to train as hard as he does. They allow him to increase his power and speed. And of course, when you think of those concepts, that's essentially the recipe.
Despite all the controversies, people are putting real money on this fight. And the betting action itself has become part of the controversy around the Paul versus Joshua event. Fans, casual bettors, and even some well-known personalities have been actively wagering on outcomes, which is adding fuel to the ongoing debate about whether the matchup is a legitimate sporting contest or a spectacle.
So do you think it's going to be real, this fight? Do you think it's actually... So you think that Jake Paul...
You couldn't fake it. You really think Anthony Joshua's going to put his whole livelihood on the line for Jake Paul?
No, I don't think he would.
So there you go. It's over when he wants it to be over.
There could be some kind of tacit agreement in the background.
How?
Where they have a handshake.
Then that's illegal. You're going to jail.
Exactly, it's illegal. That's what I was going to say.
So you can't.
Because it's not an exhibition.
No, it's a fight.
So we're
and people are betting on it. Big amounts of money.
So we're watching this. I'm flying out there next week to Miami to watch it. So I'm going out there. He's laughing. I'm getting some old. So it's all good. But it's like Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua. 6 foot. Was he 6'6"?
How about that?
Fucking. Was he 16? What's 245 pounds?
He can't be a pound over 245.
What's
so
that in stone?
The best part, just on 17 stone or just under.
So. Jake lost to Tommy Fury, and that's the one everyone keeps on. Do you think he's improved much since Tommy Fury?
Yeah, but do I think he's improved enough to make competitive? Unless I close my eyes and Josh is completely shot to bits, no.
Yeah, and so is the potential that Jake Paul, like, I know you keep saying no, I know you're right, but is there a world in which you see Jake Paul